So, what do you feel your greatest medical challenge of this year was?
So there are two that come to mind in terms of the cases that we saw this year that were very challenging. One was an adult coyote who had come in with essentially a dislocation of his paw, his front paw, in that from the arm bone to the paw bones, those had become displaced. When that happens, all of the tendons that hold those together, all the strings that hold those together and help the paw move, which is necessary for a coyote in order to be able to dig and jump and run, become torn. And so one of the only options we have is to create what's called a fusion between the bones of the wrist and the bones of the arm. And so if we prevent any movement, if we can get those bones fused together, preventing any movement is adequate for these animals to get around and be pain-free. And this is really this coyote's only shot at getting back to the wild, because we cannot, without repairing that tendon or fusing those bones, release him. And so I did a lot of studying, read a lot of books, and we said, okay, let's give it a shot. That's the kind of problem solving and kind of the boldness that you have to apply to these animals in order to get them back into the wild.
Wow.
So the other one that I really am very proud of this year, and also was one of my biggest challenges, is this young adult bald eagle that came in. And he came in with a wound on his wing from maybe fighting. We're not sure exactly what it was. At that point, the bone was exposed on his wing. He had a large wound, and we weren't sure how we were going to be able to heal this. And so we started by bandaging this, trying to get the skin healed, and trying to kind of stabilize this wing with a pin to help that bone kind of heal back together. Unfortunately, as does happen to sometimes when you have a bone that's in 3 pieces instead of 2 pieces, that center piece that was broken on both sides did not have enough blood to survive. And so we had this pin in this bone, and we had probably a 5 centimeter section where the bone just died. And so we sat there and said, this is not good enough. We can't get through this without being able to heal the bone back together. And we had to get creative. And we went ahead and took bone from one of his leg bones so that we could get healthy bone that has the healthy cells to make new bone. And we actually transplanted it into the missing piece of bone in his arm. And so we took healthy bone from the leg, put it in there, and asked it to make new bone. Then we used actual fish skin, which I feel like must have been quite tempting for this bald eagle, to replace the eagle skin that was not healthy and we could not get to heal over. Now, 6 months, 8 months later, we have x-rays of that bone, and you can tell that it's new bone, but there is bone stretching across that 5 centimeters. The skin is healed. This bald eagle has a great chance at actually getting released this next year. We are very, very lucky to have the resources that we do. And so one of the times that we use those resources this year is another one of the things that I'm really proud of, is one of the foxes that we treated this year. So this fox came in with significant head trauma. He had been hit by a car. He had multiple jaw fractures. Initially, he had a pretty significant brain injury. Yeah. And I had done what I could to get the jaw back together, which is challenging. You're working in a small hole and there's a bunch of different bones in there. But I had done what I could. And there came a point where he still had a wound, essentially an open hole in the top of his mouth. So that is something that is, again, one of those surgeries that is a specialty surgery. There are times in which I look at it and I say, I'm not the person to do that. And so we were lucky enough to be able to, and I cold called, and I was very proud of myself. I got my gumption up and I called one of the veterinary dentists in town and I said, hey, we've got this fox. I really need some help. And Dr. Nyquist was kind enough to say, you know what, I would love to help. And so about a month ago, we went over to Heart of Texas with this fox with this defect in the surface of his mouth. And he got probably better dental care than I get, honestly. They were so kind and so generous to help us. She said, I have a plan. I can fix this so this fox can be released. And we got one of 2 surgeries done. And the fox recovered great. He was a great patient. He was a great traveler. So we're getting ready to go back into Heart of Texas for Dr. Nyquist to repair the defect in his mouth so that he can get on with his healing and get ready to go back into the wild. Austin Wildlife Rescue is growing in leaps and bounds, even in the 2 years that I've been involved. And I've been able to see how passionate everybody involved is in the care and quality of life for these animals, and how devoted and dedicated we are to trying to get these animals back into the wild. And so it's fun to see each year us go back and look at some of these cases and recognize that every single year we're going to get to do new and better things for these animals. And that's really based on the generous donations of the people that come and help us out and donate at things like the brunch.
Good.